The clockmaker's promise. Marin Thatch had always believed clocks were alive. As a child, she would stand in her grandfather's workshop and listen, not just hear but listen, to the heartbeat of every gear and spring. They whispered, she said. They sighed. They dreamt. Her grandfather, old Bram Thatch, would simply smile, polish his lenses, and say, "Perhaps you're right, Marin. All things with purpose carry a spark." Years passed, seasons cycled, and Marin grew into the role she had been destined for, the new clockmaker of Thornbury Lane. Grandfather Bram had passed in early winter, his final breath leaving the quiet chime of his favorite pocket watch trembling in Marin's palm. On the day she took over the shop, she made herself a promise. "I'll keep every clock alive, grandfather." It was an easy promise to make, a much harder one to keep. Thornbury Lane was small, dusty, and half forgotten. The villagers loved their clocks but rarely brought them in unless they were truly desperate. One rainy evening in early autumn, desperation came walking through the door. A tall man in a dark coat entered, dripping rainwater across her clean floorboards. His features were obscured by a deep hood, but his voice was gentle, almost melodic. "Are you the clockmaker now?" he asked. "I am," Marin said, straightening her posture. He placed a small wrapped parcel on the counter. "Then I hope you can help. This clock has not run for decades." She unwrapped it carefully, an old wind-up carriage clock, tarnished and cracked, but built with extraordinary craftsmanship. The gears inside were finer than thread, the face etched with golden vines, and at its center a tiny insignia she knew all too well, her grandfather's early work. "This is one of my grandfather's designs," Marin said softly. "Yes," the man's voice tightened, "and it holds something very important." "What?" "Time," he said simply. Marin almost laughed, until she saw that he wasn't joking. "Time flows strangely around this clock," he continued. "The hour it stopped was the hour my life altered. Restart it, and perhaps I can reclaim what I lost." Before she could ask more, the man bowed deeply and disappeared into the rain, leaving only the scent of pine and cold air behind. Marin worked long into the night. She opened the carriage clock, expecting rust and dust and broken teeth. Instead, she found nothing broken at all. Everything was pristine, preserved as if time had refused to touch it. Yet the clock remained frozen at exactly 11 minutes past 7. Frustrated but determined, she polished each gear, re-oiled every pivot, and reset the delicate balance wheel. Still nothing. She stared at it. It stared back. Then she noticed something strange, faint marks around the keyhole. Symbols, old ones. Her grandfather had taught them to her, craft markings used when ordinary mechanics are not enough. Her pulse quickened. She whispered the old incantation Bram used to mutter jokingly whenever he finished a particularly complicated restoration. "Turn for purpose, turn for heart." She wound the key once. The clock inhaled. A soft hum filled the air, and Marin felt a gust of wind sweep through the workshop, though every window was closed. The carriage clock's hands trembled, twitched, and then began to turn backward. The workshop dissolved. She was standing in a sunlit meadow. Birds chirped. Morning dew glimmered on bright green grass. Marin blinked in confusion until she heard laughter, familiar laughter. Her grandfather. She turned. There he was, decades younger, working beneath an oak tree with a small wooden table and tools scattered around him. And across from him stood the man from the shop. Except younger, and smiling. Marin's heart twisted. She was witnessing a memory, or perhaps something deeper. "You must promise," her grandfather said, fitting the final piece of the carriage clock. "Once you leave this clock in her care, you cannot see her again." "I know," the younger man whispered, "but she will live because of this, won't she?" "She will," Bram said gently, "but the price is yours." Marin froze. "See? Price?" Bram looked directly at the man, voice low. "This clock contains the hour your child would have died. I have sealed it, suspended the moment, but sealing required taking time from you. Years of it. The younger man looked down. She's my daughter. Take as many years as you must. Marin staggered. His daughter. Her father. The meadow blurred. The scene dissolved. She was back in her workshop, breath trembling, the carriage clock ticking steadily now forward, and the hands glowed faintly gold. The door creaked. The man in the dark coat entered again, older, more tired than before. Marin found her voice. You're my father. He removed his hood. She saw his eyes, her eyes. Yes, he said softly. Your mother died when you were born, and you nearly followed. Your grandfather saved you by anchoring your lost hour inside this clock, but it cost me decades. Marin approached him shakily. All this time, you could have come to me. I wanted to, he whispered, but the clock's seal bound me to absence until it restarted. The carriage clock chimed then, a bright, clear, living sound. Time had been restored. Marin stepped forward and reached for him. You don't have to stay away anymore. For the first time in her life, she felt the embrace of her father's arms around her. Outside, the rain stopped. Inside the shop, every clock chimed in harmony, each one alive, each one awake, celebrating the promise kept at last.